we're getting away from the manual way of doing business in the city of Cleveland. We're going to go to curbside recycling, which would actually be better for the city and also for the residents too. The less that we put into the landfill will be more of a financial savings for the city, and also that's less garbage that's going into the landfill. Recycling is easy as 1, 2, 3. You bag them, you put them into the blue container, you roll it to the curb, and the truck will do the rest. We're committed to making Cleveland a cleaner, greener city of choice.
It is an Olympic year 2016, and yes, we're talking amateur boxing, and the best of the best series continues right here in Cleveland, Ohio. Hello, everybody. I'm Ronnie. Duncan is the king and queen of the ring, and we here at TV 20 have it for you. Some of the best noted amateur talent from 75 pounds all the way up to 168. I'm talking in the Midwest. We've got fighters from Cleveland, Akron, Ohio, Detroit, Michigan, as well as Cincinnati, Ohio. Some of the top amateurs in the Midwest, and a lot of them get their start right here in the king and queens of the ring. So stay with us because we've got some exciting action coming to you. I'll be standing by with Wilkens, Santiago, as well as some other special prizes. So make sure you tune in because we've got boxing at its best, including Mr. Henry Hughes. It's all coming your way. It's the best of the best boxing series. Now let's take a look at some of the fights we have on tap tonight. Up next, we've got Tavel Fain, a 75-pounder taking on Abdullah Mason. It's Cleveland, Ohio against Akron, Ohio. Also, Llewellyn McClammy from the Optimist Boxing Club out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, taking on Marcel Bonner. Jabril Hawkins comes up next, a 123-pounder from the Akron Boxing Academy, taking on Ariel Love, perhaps his last amateur fight out the Bob Davis Boxing Club in Cleveland. Then there's Tamara Guthridge, a 123-pound weight class against Ahara Archie. They are both coming to bring it from Detroit, and it's from Cleveland. Our main event of the night, Abigail Martinez from the Empire Boxing Club in Detroit, Michigan, taking on Asia Smith from Thurgood Marshall in Cleveland, Ohio. Well, once again, I'm joined by Wilkens, Santiago, one of the best welterweights out there, and Henry Hughes, one of the best amateurs ever to come out. Gentlemen, we are in store for an exciting evening of amateur boxing. Wilkens?
Oh, definitely honored to be here, man. It's an honor to see these young gladiators, you know, do what they do in their craft, man. And I'm just honored to be here and be a part of this whole.
Henry Hughes, when you talk about this venue, the Civic Arena in downtown Cleveland Heights on Mayfield, you have to admit this is a very extravagant arena for these young fighters to be at.
Yes, sir, it is. They should have the honor and the pleasure of being here. And I know when I fought here, it was a pleasure.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we've held at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars the ramparts we've watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, those bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave for the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Once again, a great rendition of the national anthem. It is the Best in Boxing Series, number 4, King of the Rings All-Star Championship, coming to you from the Civic Conference and Event Center in Cleveland Heights, Ohio. Hello again. Once again, everyone, I'm Ronnie Duncan, along with Wilkens, Santiago, and Henry Hughes. And gentlemen, we are getting ready for some fine amateur boxing. As a matter of fact, I can remember when I was this young, a 75-pounder, and coming up, we've got 2 talented young men. They're both in the 7th grade. We're talking Abdullah Mason, who's in the blue corner of the Old School Boxing Club in Cleveland, Ohio. He'll be taking on Tavell Fain, a 75-pounder. And as you see right now on the camera is Abdullah Mason, and now you see, of course, Tavell Fain. Let me tell you about Fain. Fain is a 216 Silver Gloves champion. He's a 2-time Junior Olympic champion, and he is the Ohio State Fair champion. So when you're talking about Mr. Tavell Fain, that's pretty good.
Oh, that's
pretty impressive stats.
Definitely impressive, man. I remember myself as a young kid, you know, going to the Silver Glove Nationals, man. It's definitely a big step up. The challenge is definitely up to par. You know, you got to come in shape. These boys look like they're ready to get in there and show what they're about.
Do you remember when you were fighting at that age, Henry?
Well, I didn't start at that age. I started, I was a little bit older. I was 15, but I admire these little guys and what they're about to do.
All right, it's a very fine 3 rounds of boxing, and these young men, well, they bring the punches and bunches at this young age. Now, of course, when you see someone at this young age, then you have to recognize that they have chosen this sport at a very early stage of their life. Wilkens, when you talk about fighting this young, what are the first things you're working on?
Oh, you're definitely working on speed, movement. You try not to be a set target in there. You want to look for the right openings at the right time to make sure you know you score your points and get out. Amateur boxing is a little different than professional style, so you want to score them points, get in and get out, and you know just be on top of your game.
Being on top of the game, you have to admit Fain appears to be the one with more experience. His amateur record is 48-12. What is so interesting about Fain? His father's the big boxing fan, but guess who got him into the sport? His mother, the young man with the red top.
Nice.
Wow.
Talk about mothers. My mother was a big supporter of my career, so I could definitely feel the little man when he's in there. His mother's probably in his heart, and he's saying, I got to do this for mama.
That is the end of bell number 1. Wilkens, what do you think?
Oh, great action. These guys look like they're ready. As you can see, Mr. Fain is out there standing up. That goes to show that he's coming in here. He's in shape. The boy doesn't need to sit down on that stool, take a break. You know, key is just keep boxing in there. You know, they both looking sharp. They exchange punches in there in between the round, and you know, make the best man win, man. They coming in shape. You can see they're ready to keep it going.
When we talk about young, talented amateurs who had it at a very early stage, the one name that comes to mind is the one fighter that both of these young men admire, and that's Floyd Mayweather Jr. Floyd started at a very tender age. Remember, we're talking about 7th graders, 75-pounders. These kids are no more than 12 years of age. I think they're pretty impressive when you consider what they can do in the ring, Henry.
And yeah, you can tell that they're not newcomers to the sport. You know, you can tell. I watch them throwing jabs, hooks, slip, bobbing, and weaving. So I'm pretty sure they're used to it.
And of course, in a fight like this, you want to have a good referee. Wilkens, can you tell us about our referee and what do you know about him from the amateur ranks?
Oh, definitely. Freddie Osorio, he's one of the Lorraine guys, as you know, one of them from our gyms. He helps our kids. So he has the coaching status down pack as well. Now he's reffing. He's been involved with amateur boxing for quite some years now. Definitely a good ref out there. Look sharp. He's on top of his game on these young kids.
When we're talking about young kids who are so early in their stages of boxing, how important is the referee? Because let's face it, we don't want any of these young men to get injured.
Oh, definitely, definitely. I started at the age of 9. You know, I started at a young age. At that time, it was back in '89, so you had to be 10 years old at that time. I actually lied to Freddie so I could get in the gym and try to mix it up. He found out my age and told me I couldn't come to the gym until, you know, there was a lot of rules in play that he could get in trouble as far as with insurance hazards. But he seen how bad I wanted to drop of a tear. He seen me crying in there as a young kid and kept me along, and here I am today on a professional level.
One thing you can say about Mason, the young man in the blue trunks, or the blue top that is that he is not afraid to mix it up. And that's something that we saw here at the end of round number 2. Tell us about the fighters who are fighting now. Instead of going 3 minutes, they go how many minutes per round?
I believe these right now, these are a minute and a half per round. So, you know, you ain't got much time to think in there. You just got to let them go. It's a point system base, so you got to make sure you score your points and get out. But these kids are in there like gladiators, letting it go. Nice movement by both guys here. They're exchanging very well. May the best man win.
How would you score the fight thus far?
It's a close fight. It's pretty tight. I think Fane's up on the round. I give him a slight edge. He's still standing in between the rounds. The guy's in shape. You can tell on the other end, Mr. Mason, you know, he's ready to go as well. So, you know, the judges, I leave that all to the judges.
Well, I've had an opportunity to talk to both of these young men prior to the fight. Henry, how did you see it right now after 2 rounds?
I see it close. It can go either way. They both throwing a lot of punches. Punches and punches.
All right, the bell for round number 3 just begun. We've got both of our fighters. We've got
big exchanges.
Mason.
I believe Mason got the better exchange here. He continues to get nice little punches in there. Mr. Fane keeps attacking the body.
Fane appears to be very complete. And from what I see right now, he loves to lead with the jab, but he's not a bad counterpuncher for someone so young in his amateur career. Remember, we're talking about a young man who is a 2-time Junior Olympic qualifier, a 2016 Silver Glove champion, and the Ohio State Fair champion for his weight class at 75 pounds.
He's having a hard time getting in because he's dealing with a southpaw in front of him. He's not dealing with a right-hander, so he's having a hard time really putting that jab where he wants it to be. But he's staying active. He's letting the punches go. But Mr. Mason's coming, man. He's coming to fight.
Once again, it is the Best in Boxing Series number 4, the King and Queens of the Ring All-Star Championship. Coming to you from Cleveland Heights right here at TV 20. That's because we are Cleveland. Ronnie Duncan along with Wilkens, Santiago, and Henry Hughes. Henry, we'll start with you first. Who do you think won this contest?
Oh, man, it was close for me. Like I said, it was punches and bunches. It was hard to choose for this one.
I personally think Mr. Fane does have the experience, but Mason kind of closed out that last round. I got the slight edge towards Mason.
I think you may have something, especially with our audience taking a look at the slow motion replay right here on TV 20. And it was pretty impressive by Abdullah Mason of the Old School Boxing Gym. They call it DNA Boxing in Cleveland, Ohio, off of Harvard and Lee Roads. And I have to admit, I was pretty impressed with him, especially when you consider the credentials, that is, that Fane came into the ring with.
Exactly.
Well, the judges have tabulated their scores, our judges today. Why don't you go about judges for us today and tell us who we have here. We got Dick Trickle, we've got Leslie Washington, Jeff Kish, and George Mills. People you're pretty familiar with.
Oh, definitely, definitely. One of the names that sticks out the most here is George Mills, one of the guys from my area as well. He teaches some of our kids out there, so he does some of the coaching as well with Mr. Freddie Osorio. The guys are great guys. They see the vision inside that ring as well as outside the ring. So, you know, whatever decision they decide to take on, I'm pretty much up with it as well.
Well, of course, safety is the most important thing. The doctor at ringside is Dr. Alan Klein. We're talking about young men. And let's face it, when you lose at a point so early in your life, as a coach, as a mentor, what do you say to a young fighter who may come up the loser but yet gave a lot of great effort here today? What would you say to whoever loses this fight?
It's always tomorrow. You know what I mean? Don't dwell on this particular fight. you know, it's always tomorrow.
What about you, Wilkens?
Well, the best thing I can tell is the young kid is keep your head up. You know, champions are won inside the gym, not on the ring. I called it. I kind of knew he stole that last round. I had the fight kind of even to the last round. Mr. Mason pulled it out. Just as I seen it, he was he was on top of the guy in the last round and basically stole the show.
Pretty impressive. Once again, the winner of the fight, Abdullah Mason, 75-pounder from the Old School Boxing Gym in Cleveland, Ohio. And what was impressive is that he put the punches up in bunches and got it done. And that was pretty impressive. But once again, our hats goes off to the young man who finished second. Only 2 people step into that ring. One comes in a winner, one goes out as the loser, but they both, let's face it, are extremely competitive.
That's it. The main thing I could tell is Mr. Travell Fain is, you know, keep your head up, champ. You know, just get back into that ring, you know, another day tomorrow, and keep pursuing your dreams, man. You know, dreams become reality when you keep pursuing them.
The Northeast Ohio Regional Fusion Center and law enforcement agencies from across Cuyahoga, Lake, Geauga, Ashtabula, and Lorain counties have launched iWatch, a free and anonymous way to directly report suspicious activity, tips, and leads. It's a free app you can get right on your smartphone. This app is not a replacement for calling 911 in an emergency, but this app is a crime-fighting tool. Go to iWatchNEOhio.com to find out more information on how to download this free app. A tip you give could very well save a life.
All right, coming up next, we've got Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania taking on Cleveland, Ohio. The great thing about the geographic makeup of these fights for the king and queens of the ring, we've had kids come from Canada, is that this is the best that the Midwest or the Midwest from the East side can offer. And to get this type of exposure is paramount for a lot of these young men and women. Coming up next, we've got Llewellyn McClammy taking on Marcel Bonner. And that's the Olympus Boxing Club in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, for McClammy. Taking on Marcel Bonner, 141-pounder from the Glenville Recreation Bob Davis Boxing Club. So we've got 2 very, very talented fighters coming up next. Llewellyn McClammy and Marcel Bonner. Marcel Bonner is in the blue. You see him right there inside the ring. And, of course, McClammy is in the red corner. And we're going to have a fight for you to have a good time.
The first 2 fights were action-packed.
Definitely.
First 2 fights.
Well, action-packed was the word. Let's see if these young men, I tell you what, that's a hard act to follow. Because people are probably going to say, why aren't you throwing the punches? Did you see how many punches those young ladies threw? Well, gentlemen, we're coming off, of course, the championship parade. First time in 52 years that the city of Cleveland, Ohio, could say a major sports team has won. However, if you talk about champions, the world of boxing has given Cleveland champions well before that 52-year drought. One young man, Sean Porter, who used to be the IBF welterweight champ of the world, and Mickey Bay, who used to be the WBA lightweight champ of the world. So boxing has been pretty impressive and has a good legacy in the city of Cleveland, Ohio. Would you not say?
Definitely, definitely. Sean's a great friend of mine. Actually, one of my ex-sparring partners. We basically trained back in Vegas in his gym. I actually flew out there getting ready for the Philo Greco fight. So Sean's a great dude, very humble guy, but when he gets in that ring, he turns into a different animal. And, you know, he definitely has a big shot tonight to get a big win against Keith One-Time Thurman. All big shout-outs to Sean Showtime Porter.
All right, of course, we are here for the Best in Boxing Series, number 4, Kings and Queens of the Ring All-Star Championship. And we're coming to you from the Civic Conference and Event Center in Cleveland Heights, Ohio. Now let's go back up to Paul's Hill for more of what's happening. And our referee is going to be my man of all men. Whew, it is my man, Cliff Pinkney. Let's go up to Paul.
Boxing fans, our next bout of the evening is in the 141-pound division. Introducing first, fighting out of the red corner, representing the Olympus Boxing Club. He is from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Llewellyn McClammy. And his opponent fights out of the blue corner, representing the Bob Davis Boxing Club. He is from Cleveland. Please welcome Marcel Bonner.
Now let me ask you guys, when you are a Cleveland fighter and you're fighting in this environment, is there a home ring advantage?
Well, both guys are from Cleveland. I know both coaches, great coaches, a great friend of mine. You know, there's war on both sides as far as coaches as well. But, you know, Cleveland always brings tough fighters in there, and I'm sure they're both going to go out there and give it their best.
You know, both fighters are doing what they've got to do, and they're giving their best. We are coming to you live from the Civic Conference and Event Center in Cleveland Heights, Ohio. Got some very important people. You know, it's nice to come back home to Cleveland. I call Cleveland my home, even though I live in Michigan right now. And I got a chance to hear from a friend of mine, Carmen Epps, who is very delightful, and we go back a long way. And I just want to say, Carmen, thank you for your love and your attention of always being a friend. Lots of great people coming out of the city of Cleveland, Ohio, who continue to support not only amateur boxing, but of course everything that we do. And once again, congratulations to the King, LeBron James, and the Cleveland Cavaliers for winning the 2016 NBA Championship, the NBA Finals, the World Championship. And the World Championship has come back home to Cleveland, Ohio.
Definitely, Cleveland, the land.
Been a long time since 1964. I think I'm the only one on this broadcast table that was alive in 1964.
I was a year in.
Oh, you couldn't even read.
I was a year in.
So we can let go of that motto, believeland now.
All right.
Everybody's believers now.
Okay, let's get back on track. I'm Ronnie Duncan along with Wilkens, Santiago, and Henry Hughes. We're bringing you the Best in Boxing Series number 5. We got two very talented fighters, Llewellyn McClammy and Marcel Bonner, 141-pounders. You got to wonder, as these young men continue to grow, is this the weight class they want to stay at? Because sometimes when you box as an amateur, when you get ready to box as a pro, you go down in weight. Sometimes you go up in weight, depending on where you feel the most comfortable. They're 141-pounders. You box at 147.
Right.
When you fought as an amateur, where did you fight?
Oh, I fought my last fights at 65. I was open 165. I fought guys such as Terrell Gausha, Olympic alternate. You know, so I've been in there with some of the big names, Ricardo Slickwick Williams. I fought Tony the Tiger Hanshaw. So I've seen it all in there, man. And I'm down to 47 now, welterweight. I started my career at 65 in the amateur, so.
47-54, that's the weight class in which you dominated, young man. I'm talking Henry Hughes. But when you were an amateur, what did you box?
130. I started at 132. I was the national Golden Glove runner-up at 132. The following year, I moved up to 139.
When you look at the body frames of both of these young men, Henry, what would you prescribe as the best weight for them if they decide to turn pro, and as you get that man weight, that body weight? I mean, right now, what would you say? Especially